Hello there, I'm Guildmaster Dan, and welcome to Fourth Wall. Now, back during Halloween, I talked about internet inspirations for horror games. And even though there are lots of creepypastas and stuff out there, great inspirations for horror games, there are lots of other hidden gems on the internet that are great material for role-playing games. In the horror one, I talked about Night Vale and SCP as horror settings, or at least campaign ideas. Well, this week I wanted to bring you a hidden gem for another setting that would work great for a horror game or just for a fun little supernatural adventure. This week, we're going to be talking about the Swingers Sideshow Dance Club from artist Betsy Lee.
As he smoke, rolling down the hill. It's a joke, moving in for the kill.
So you may be asking yourself, well, Dan, what is a sideshow dance club? Let alone, what is the Swingers Sideshow Dance Club? Well, there's a flash artist out there on the internet known as Betsy Lee or Warlord of Noodles, and she produces a couple of shows online on YouTube, which you will get a link to, and on Newgrounds. And the show specifically that we're referring to is one known as Swingers. And in Swingers, our main setting is a nightclub that is renowned amongst the youth for the oddities and parlor tricks that they show off. As in, the staff are all quite odd people, and there's lots of neat magic tricks that go on, such as little glowy creatures that bring you your drinks, or Asian style lanterns hung about that have eyes that follow you. Uh, and lots of other strange occurrences. When for anyone who actually manages to get to know what's going on at the Swingers Sideshow Dance Club, they find out that it is actually a bit of a halfway house for mythological creatures. Essentially, as uh, as the character, and I believe in this case the literal Calypso puts it, it is a nightclub run by mythical creatures who rescue other mythical creatures to help them adapt to a world where humans no longer believe in them. Now, this is a very fun and unique setting to explore in a role playing game. In the show, it really embraces the whole monster of the week sort of the monster of the week sort of vibe. Calypso is the resident oracle, and she sees things that are relevant to the club and sends the employees out to deal with it. This could be danger, or this could be something that's a boon for the nightclub, such as, say, a golden goose, which is rather handy when they're running a little short on paying bills. Which brings us to the heart of what makes this a really cool role-playing campaign idea. You have all these misfit supernatural characters being your PCs. Really let them go and pick their favorite like supernatural sort of entity and bring them all together. And they just kind of work at and run this nightclub in their everyday lives. They bring in humans and they cater to them, and they make their money that way. By showing off their parlor tricks and whatnot, parlor tricks, and but at the same time uh, during the day, when supernatural beings are about in their city or in their local environment, these are the people best equipped to handle it. Not some you know not some like supernatural police force or anything. Just this group of misfits um, that really are just getting by and just kind of dealing with the weird things that happen. Um, it's a really neat show, and for a role playing setting, it can be really fun for a campaign for a group of players. Kind of drawing back on my previous episode, who like the simulationist style, who like to just kind of live their life, but also it kind of has that mix of monster of the week and openness, where the game master can explore any old idea he likes. Because you can really explore any old supernatural story or mythological creature you want and keep it, in setting. Now, granted, you can always incorporate this into an existing setting, such as this would probably make a great World of Darkness game or Supernatural RPG game, where there are lots of other, those are both settings that deal with, all the different supernatural things, and particularly with dealing with those supernatural things, if not being one of them. World of Darkness, that's a great RPGs. I mean, think about that in terms of that. Say you take the Sideshow nightclub idea and plop it into the World of Darkness. The type of people you have there. You have one player who's a mummy, another player who's a mage, another player who's a Nosferatu, another player who's an aberration. You can just have all these misfits of like different people from the different RPGs in your storytelling game, and you know, uh, and just kind of explore them interacting with each other, getting by in everyday life, and dealing with the supernatural stuff that plagues their local area. Uh, it could be a lot of fun, and on top of that, it works great beyond just say a supernatural horror setting, like World of Darkness, and can work in like your D&D game. Essentially, because the ideas you're looking at is centering your group of misfits in a mundane sort of locale and setting, and contrasting that regularly with the supernatural and the fantastic on the other side. Dungeons and Dragons, a group of adventurers bound to a particular tavern. Oh, excuse me. Group of adventurers bound to a specific tavern. You can explore the same idea in the fantasy setting. Let's say you have a group of adventurers who have seen some stuff. They may have a magic item or two. They may have connections to these outside events, but really, they've gotten to the point they don't want to go out and save the world. They just kind of want to live in. They just kind of want to live in and run their tavern, and just that supernatural stuff that they've all experienced just keeps coming back to haunt them, keeps coming in. They have to defend their town from you know I don't want to be boring, but say an orc raiding party that comes through. This town's never really seen that stuff before. The weirdest stuff they ever see are the adventurers in the tavern. But the orcs come by, or say even better, or like nature spirits try and overtake the town and wipe the civilization off the map so that that nature can reclaim it. Well, the Avengers got to deal with that. Or, a falling star comes down and some star creature comes out. See, that's what's cool about this is you can really embrace the whole monster of the week thing. You can explore whatever you want. Like any mythology, any folklore, any fictional story where you thought a monster or something was cool out of it, you can explore that, because it's really just about a group of misfits living their life and having to deal with the crazy shit that life keeps throwing at them. And it's a very good way to role play just being characters together. And also, it's good practice for a game master to build a setting, because naturally you're going to spread out from this nightclub, from this tavern, um, and kind of explore the immediate area. What draws all these different things here. Maybe there's something special about this area. Maybe there's a reason why they chose this area, such as maybe they didn't specifically choose it, but it drew them there, because just like it's drawing everything else there. See, now you're starting to incorporate an ongoing story, something bigger than what's going on, but you get to know the humans that live there. You get to know, the supernatural beings that don't necessarily have to be disposed of or gotten rid of, that live in harmony with this place. And it's just a very unique and fun little setting you can go into. It would make a great For those of you who like to roleplay online, would make a great message board RPG, but it also makes a great tabletop RPG, at least campaign setting, or even a one-off session, something great for a con. It's a fantastic idea if you like running those supernatural sort of RPGs and games. Um, Now, that being said, if you want to try and explore it, I do have some advice. Betsy Lee had some great ideas in the show that actually, you know, really are appropriate for a role playing or for the role playing game idea. In particular, the character of Calypso, the Oracle, great idea, and you definitely would want to have that as a game master. You want to have that linchpin character at this tavern or at this nightclub, that not only serves as the person who runs the place, that you can just kind of be the catalyst that all of these misfits gather around, because naturally when you have a bunch of players that want to play different personalities and all these different misfits, they're going to pull in different directions, and having that linchpin character and that common goal of the place that they run together can really help. A little bit more on that later, but that character being an oracle is even more helpful, especially if you're going to do the monster of the week kind of thing, because you can, kind of like you can see in the show, if you watch a couple of episodes, you can, on the drop of a hat, have that Oracle character serve as a exposition, or explaining more of what the creatures you bring in are, just kind of to give the gist so players can play off of it. And also, it serves as a means to push the story along when you start to explore that setting, that the world more, and the possible storylines that are pulling out of the monster of the week. You can use that oracle, that linchpin catalyst character, to keep everyone together and to really push it in the right direction, to guide your players with the knowledge that they might not always get on their own, and also to just you know, uh, nudge them in the right direction when the story needs to go a certain way. Next, I would also recommend that you have an equal measure of problems, both mundane and supernatural. I mean, naturally, you're going to want to play up the supernatural stuff. You're going to want to have, you're going to want to have your vampires, your dryads, your nymphs, your fairies, your I'm really trying to think of mythological creatures from outside of European stuff, but nothing. Your gin, your chupacabra. I don't. I'm trying here. Uh, the point is, you're gonna be tempted to just want to have them deal with the supernatural stuff all the time. And even though you can do that in a game, there are games based around that. In this sort of setting, I would recommend only having that be half. Only don't let it take over more than half of the session, or the campaign. Have that be an aspect, sure, because that's kind of part of the big appeal. But you want to also have the mundane aspect. You want to have the mundane problems. You want to have your misfit characters dealing with your everyday problems, such as meeting the rent, paying the bills, dealing with rival dance clubs or taverns. They don't necessarily have to be sideshow taverns or dance clubs, but just rival ones where when you have to make money to pay the bills, and your customers are going to this other nightclub all the time because, I don't know, they have cheaper drinks or something. You know, you're suddenly not making enough money for you to keep this place where you and your misfit family get to be together, or help those unfortunate mythological creatures that you come across. Suddenly it becomes, we got to get those customers back. How can we get them back? Well, maybe we can have a ladies' night. Well, what's a good way to have a ladies' night? I know an incubus. Bad idea. Shut up. That's a terrible idea. Well, that's the whole point, though. You take those mundane things, you take the paying the rent, you take the rivals, you take suspicious humans, and you play off that. You allow your misfits to have to deal with that, and weigh that against, the supernatural. I mean, it's kind of what you see in well role played superhero games about how you have this whole superhero life, all these crazy fantastical things that happen, but that's all, equally measured to your civilian life when, on the other side where, you got to pay the bills. You got to pay attention to your significant other. You have to, you have to go see your kid's ball game. You can't just constantly be doing the superhero thing because you have a life other than that. It's the same thing here. Sure, you have your demigods running around. You have your spirits preying on the humans. You have your humans preying on the weak spirits. But you also have to weigh that against, we got to eat. We need a place to sleep. And we like being together in this place, so we need a place to be together in. You know, this is a type of game where you're going to explore being a person. Granted, a person with a weird life who deals with weird things, but you want to contrast that with the mundane things. A, to make the supernatural things more exciting, and stand out more, but B, also to explore the whole, aspect of what it means to be a character in a real life, letting your players explore what these people are like, these misfits, and what their day-to-day life is. It makes for a fantastic opportunity for that type of game. um, and my last bit of advice for the game master, other than keeping the mundane in there and the oracle character, is go nuts with the supernatural part of it. Don't limit yourself to just uh, say Greek mythology or vampire myth. Really go out there and bring in some like wide aspects of things. Go out there, bring in some Mesoamerican myth, bring in some Indian myth, bring in some Judeo-Christi myth, um, or theology, however you want to put it. But bring that stuff in. Take a grab bag of whatever you're interested out of all those different things, and really vary it up. Play with the whole monster of the week sort of thing, and let your misfits play off of each new thing. And you don't just have to do like a one-time appearance of them too. You can really play with the existence of all these different types of entities occupying the same space, or at least general region. you know if you have if you have, say, you don't necessarily, let's say you have a fallen, let's say you have a group of fallen angels in your immediate area. How would those, like, even outside of how they interacted with the nightclub, when your misfits dealt with them, how would they interact out there with, say a clan of centaurs that are living in the woods nearby? I mean, they're both in that supernatural level of the world, so they're going to have interactions with each other. And you can run into stuff like, maybe they don't like each other. Maybe you don't have the same old, angels versus demons. Maybe it's become like, angels versus centaurs, and the only thing that's keeping the peace between them, not you guys, because you're just misfits. I mean, you really just kind of dealt with them and maybe kept them away from the humans. But maybe the only thing standing between those two is the Lady of the Lake. Yes, the Lady of the Lake is living in the local reservoir, and really she's the one keeping the peace between these two. See how you take all the different things that you like and play with them, and see how you can make them fit. Make your immediate setting around your nightclub, around your tavern, that same sort of jigsaw puzzle of misfit ideas, and play with them in a whole setting. It can be a lot of fun for both you and your players to explore those ideas. And really, this is kind of your chance to take what I said before in a previous episode about focusing your creativity, and maybe loosening the bindings on your box. I mean, keep in mind, there's duality to like every bit of advice I say. you can do things one way, but there's plenty of reasons and ways to do it the other way. You can explore all these different varied ideas. Um, but what I'm suggesting here is keep your setting small and explore those varied ideas in that small setting and how they can interact like that, and really, get a real intimate feel for what your what your little plot of land is like, with all these fun different things that you can explore. This type of game is all about a mismatch of misfits dealing with a mishmash of problems, both supernatural and mundane, and just seeing where they go with it as characters. Um, Now, granted, this type of game might not be for everybody, and I might have not explored certain areas of this type of game that maybe you thought of, or you disagreed with something I had to say. As usual, by all means, if there's something else you'd like to add, or if you disagreed with something I had to say, please feel free to leave a comment below. Please pay Betsy Lee, Warlord of Noodles, a visit and watch some of her videos. And I'll be sure to have the link below. And, please like, share, and subscribe so we can keep the conversation going. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
but I ain't